Green Lantern issue 26, legacy number 593, Jeremy Adams writing with V Kenneth Marion on the art. So yeah, we're continuing the Starbreaker Supremacy arc, which obviously is going through both this and Green Lantern Corps, so this is part 3 of that. We ended the last part with them getting to the entities behind the source wall, and this is where things pick up here pretty much. And almost immediately, everyone starts to feel again, like because they're beyond the source wall, the sorrow like threshold breaks, and they all start becoming themselves. So most of this issue is pretty much them talking to the entities, and the entities being like, hey, like, you know, we need your help to get out of here, blah, 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 blah. And Hal kind of stepping in, chaining them up with his lantern ring and saying, hey, you want to use us, so we need to keep you in check. Like, obviously we have to work together here, but we're not working for you. So, you know, we have to keep this clear. And kind of what we expected to an extent would happen does happen, where each of them kind of like become, they don't necessarily inhabit them, which I thought they might, but they each become a different lantern color to kind of take one with them and keep it chained up. So if I have a critique about this issue, honestly, which I think is a perfectly solid chapter, I think it makes sense. Obviously you've got you know, the villains showing up and they have the big fight, obviously, when they come out with all the entities, like they're riding big whales. That's all fun. I think the one critique I have, though, and it feels like an odd omission to me, is that there's not like a splash page showing you clearly who has become what color, because I spent the rest of the issue looking at tiny like characters on the panels trying to realize who was who, and there's a couple of bits of dialogue that give it away where like, okay, clearly Guy's become the compassion one, right, based on what he's saying, and eventually you see that Sinestro's the red, but like, and I think you see that Jessica's the yellow at one point, but it's like I was having to piece that together over several pages, and I'm like, where's the splash page that's showing them all off in their colors and making it clear this one's this one's that? I thought that was a strange omission to me, because you get the splash page with them all riding the entities out, but they're so tiny that you can't tell who's who, like person wise, on top of the entities, because the entities are so huge. You know, they're basically kaiju size, right? So I thought that was a strange omission to me.
Yeah, but I didn't realize that Sinestro was on the red one, on the Butcher, until they mentioned that it was Sinestro. Yeah. You know? So it would have been nice to have that earlier. But I do like some of those pairings, right? Like Guy, who we've seen become a Red Lantern, right? Putting him with the Compassion Lantern, because he's the biggest a-hole, right? And so the Compassion one speaking through him of that different side, I really did like that. And then Jess and Kilowog with the Fear one, which that was the other thing where they talk about that it's not Parallax, right? Did I read that correctly?
Yeah, because they said Parallax died, and this is the new yellow entity that rose up. Just, you know, from all the fear that existed. Like, there has to be one. So this one, right. And I was like, man, how did I miss that Parallax died? I figured that would have been a big, you know, thing in the Green Lantern. I think storylines. It didn't surprise me they said that, so I think I have a vague memory of this happening. Okay, but I mean, I couldn't tell you exactly when or how.
No, but I didn't remember that like at all. So the fact that it was, you know, not that it matters. I was like, Parallax looks really weird, and I was like, oh, that's not Parallax. No, it's Parallax looks like a big giant bug. This one looks more like a dragon. Yeah, which I think is cool. Like, it's a fun design. So, you know. Yeah. Also, there's a couple of pages back on Oa where Kelly is like kind of immune to what's going on, but not because she's special, because the entity that's inside her is kind of taken over. So there's just a page or two to like tease that with her jumping at Baz. So, you know, we'll come back to that obviously down the line, but I just wanted to mention it was there since it's like a different plot point. Part of the story is that Kyle sort of like uses up all of his energy to become a White Lantern again so they can get back through the source wall, and then he needs to be protected once they're out. They do realize though that the obviously the rings on the villains, their grey rings, are what's given them their power. So we get a couple of fun bits in the action
where Hal actually he makes a Buster Sword. That's what it is. There's no mistake in it. He makes a Buster Sword for Final Fantasy, and he cuts off the hand. I remember if it's Thalari's brother first, but whatever one's first, he cuts off the hand, and then the other one's like, "No, my brother! How dare you!" And then Sinestro comes in saying, "Oh, you don't get to have all the fun," with his red giant sword, and cuts off the other hand. So they retreat. They're like, "Oh, we have to go back and go back to the lantern and get everything together." So that's basically kind of where it ends. Basically, Hal's just sort of yelling, "We have to go and finish this. Let's follow them back to their Grey Lantern power battery and take care of business." So it's fine. I didn't like it as much as the last issue, and by the last issue I mean Green Lantern Corps. Just because I thought that was more interesting with them all not feeling stuff, but only a couple of robotic characters still having the will to do stuff. I thought that was like a really cool concept, and I wasn't disappointed that they wrapped it up this quickly necessarily, but this did feel like a bit more kind of like what I was saying with Superman. This was more typical event stuff where, oh, we're all going to band together, we're all different colors now, we're going to fight the villains. It was mostly fun, and my one big critique is where the hell was the splash page making it clear who had turned into what, because it was almost distracting for the next few pages, trying to figure out who was who. Yeah, but
and I thought the whole concept of having the robotic characters there, I would like to see a bit more interaction between them and the entities before they all get there, because the whole reason that they're able to get there is they weren't affected by the lack of the emotions.
That's true. Also, and yet, I mean, just in general, it feels like they barely have anything in this issue to do. Like, you see them there, they're around, but like once the fighting starts, they're just kind of in the background. Yeah, like Aya's with Razor, and they have a history. They're riding the blue entity, and that's cool. But yeah, them interacting and maybe having a little bit of doubt that aren't the entities just going to use the humans, or the non-AI life, whatever we're calling them? Aren't they just going to use them like they always have? Should we step in and try to control this a little bit more? That would have been a fun story plot point, but yeah, Hal saying, "I hope you're left-handed," as he cuts off the dude's hand. I thought that was a lot of fun. Adams does have a good voice for all of these characters, so yeah. But yeah, could have been a little bit better, but still having a lot of fun. Yeah, like I say, it's kind of in that realm of like, I'm mostly having a good time. I have that one big critique. Otherwise, it's perfectly solid. But it didn't feel like as unique as the last issue did in terms of what it was doing with its premise. So I almost do wish that either they gave those robotic characters more of a payoff in this issue. Maybe they'll get it down the line. I don't know, but still enjoying the story though, for sure. So yeah, we'll see where it goes. Art from Marion, he is definitely in that house style kind of realm where it's it's perfectly fine. Some fun moments, but not knocking my socks off either in any great way, shape, or form. His art's very angular. There's a lot of sharp points. Like, I'm looking specifically at Sinestro, and when Hal cuts off the Starbreaker's hand, Sinestro looks like he's made of triangles. His whole face. He has the long mustache and all of that type of stuff. And then the close up on his face. But yeah, I mean, it's not bad. It's just, again, not my taste. And that's going to happen with the house style. Yeah, there's a joke in here about PlayStation 1 games because the characters were made up of triangles, but very, 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 very polygonical. Yeah, I don't know how to make the joke though, and it's aging us all a little bit because the youngins won't get it because they're like, PS2 is old. PS2 is a retro system now. Yeah, God. Well, that's what we always say about when we see a Cybertruck. It looks like we stumbled into PS1 graphics. So, I mean. Yeah, the PS1 games run better though. Yeah, absolutely. All right, what do you give a Green Lantern 26? I'm gonna go the straight 7. Like, it's fine. Yeah, that's good. I would probably go 7.5 if it wasn't for that weird like the confusion of like who's who, because they didn't give me a big splash page showing me who's who. So I will say that. I will say it's just a 7 because of that. It would have been a little bit higher if not.